Now, joining us on stage, we have Ms. Sophia Lee, the aforementioned. Now, Sophia is the Regional Director of Times Higher Education. Sophia oversees the Times Higher Education's partnerships with universities and higher education bodies in China, Mongolia, and Vietnam. Before joining the Times Higher Education, she worked at the Office for International Affairs, Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, and was in charge of university partnerships. So, if you could put your hands together and welcome to the stage, Ms. Sophia Lee.
Xin chào. Good afternoon, everyone. So it's my pleasure to be here today in Hanoi. And actually, the first time I visited Hanoi was in 2014, and it's great to come back after the COVID pandemic, and it's about 8 years, and I see the rapid transformation of this city, no matter in terms of the economy, but also in higher education, which is testified by the more and more universities that are ranked in THE. So as Simon just mentioned that today I will go through about the Asian universities and the Sustainable Development Goals. But before that, I would like to introduce about the THE. And THE has been in the higher education sector for more than 50 years. And many people know about us is about our rankings, but we are more than rankings. We are a higher education media. We have our journalists around the world reporting on higher education news, and also we have, they are writing the opinion pieces. So we are interacting with the higher education stakeholders very closely. That's why we have our impact rankings. And today's the conference theme is explore the boundaries of a global citizenship. And one of the outcome of this is to develop the graduates that will face the challenging global issues. And the United Nations has set out 17 Sustainable Development Goals that can address the global challenges in the world, so that to make the world a better place. So how it is related to, THE is related to the Sustainable Development Goals is because we have the impact rankings. And impact rankings is the world's first and only rankings that assess universities' progress working towards Sustainable Development Goals. Well, many people know about us is because of our World University Rankings. Actually, it's a ranking that measures universities' research excellence. So people know about the World University Ranking, Asia University Ranking, or subject ranking. Actually, they're all under the umbrella of the research rankings. So, but there are more than 20,000 universities in the world. Not all of them are research-intensive universities. Some universities are just focused on teaching, but some are doing meaningful work, creating social impact. That's why THE launched the first impact rankings in 2019. So it is to recognize the contributions of this group of universities that to the society. And many people didn't know that our World University Ranking has threshold. So universities should pass the threshold to be ranked, and it is university must produce at least 1,000 publications over the past 5 years, and and every year it should be no less than 150. So it's very stringent requirement, so that not many universities that can be ranked. But for the impact rankings, we set our threshold lower, so that universities don't need to meet a minimum publication requirement. But as long as they are doing meaningful work, working towards Sustainable Development Goals, they can be ranked. So the UN has 17 SDGs, and the THE we has 17 individual SDG rankings and one overall ranking. So in total, under these impact rankings, there are 18 rankings. So university can choose at least one SDGs to participate. They can choose the one they are best at. And overall ranking is created with a mandatory SDG 17 and all the other three strongest SDGs, ranging from SDG 1 to SDG 16. Yeah, so university can submit as many as you want. Then the Vietnam's participation in the impact rankings. So in 2022, we have 7 universities that ranked in the overall ranking, meaning that they have submitted more than 4 SDGs. And in the next session, I will share about the best practices of Asian universities in SDGs. As you can see that, which are the countries and the regions with the most active participation into the impact rankings? They are Japan, Pakistan, India, Turkey, Thailand, Iraq. These are the countries that have exceed 50 universities that are ranked in the overall ranking. And who are the top Asian universities in the top 10 in the overall ranking? They are King Abdulaziz University, Saudi Arabia, and University Sans Malaysia, which enjoyed a joint number 4 in the world, and also Hokkaido University from Japan is ranked the 10th place. And South Korea has the most number of universities in the top 100 in the overall ranking, and Thailand and Pakistan has the most number of new entrants. Okay, so during the data submission period, universities are required to submit the evidences to show what they do working towards the SDGs. This is an example from lovely professional university from India showing their carbon management progress in response to SDG 7, affordable and clean energy. So you can see from the slides that they installed solar panels, and also they designed battery-operated e-rickshaw and also the solar buses to lower down their carbon emissions. This is an example from Chulalongkorn University from Thailand. Chulalongkorn University is a leading university in impact rankings in Thailand. They have a curated website that put together all their actions towards SDGs, so the audience can easily find what they do in every SDGs. So in these slides, we can show their action, their announcement on waste management policy, and announcement on the reduction of single-use plastic waste. So this is the example from National Cheng Kung University, Taiwan, and showing their support local government in climate action monitoring. It is in response to the SDG 13 climate action. So what the NCKU did is that they proposed the R&D strategies to improve their hydrological observation and the forecasting technologies, and also the coordination of different agencies for the disaster prevention and also the participation into the flood rescues. This is an example from Hokkaido University, Japan, which organized events to promote the conservation and the sustainable utilization of the land, including the forest and the wild land. So this is, they organized the symposium on rare plants and the conservation in Hokkaido. You can see that it's the evidence is produced in the local language, and it is acceptable in our rankings. University can submit, in their local language, and we can accept this kind of evidence. And they also organized the educational event for the elementary students and to educate them about the importance of forests and the creatures to live on it. So this is an example from the university from Philippines. And you can see that it is the university's master plan, and the campus has a large patch of greenery. So the university's ambition is to create a sustainable and a green campus, and also provides sustainable channels of commuting on the campus. So the methods including EGBC, the bicycle lanes, carpooling, and interconnected walkways around the campus. They also tries to ensure that all their construction projects can adhere to the local government's sustainable building the principles. In the next example, I would like to show the Thai government's their initiative to align SDGs with their regional priorities. So you can actually THE, we work with MAHISI, the Ministry of Higher Education, Science and Innovation, to help train the universities on how to work towards SDGs. And I think it is getting more and more popular among the universities to gain kind of SDG competence and SDG literacy for the staff and the faculty. So you can see that Thailand is split into 5 economic zones. They call it corridors. So the Central Economic Corridor is where the Bangkok resides. So you can see that the different corridors, they have different priorities. You can see from the SDG labels, different colors. And then the central one focuses on waste management and innovation for aging society. It is because, the Bangkok, I think, have more people and also more tourists, so it's, they need more waste management. They are, in response to the SDG 12 and SDG 3. And then when we move, our eyes to the Southern Economic Corridor, and then it is surrounded by a large, water body, and then this economic corridor focus on SDG 14, life below water. Then this brings to my next session is why SDGs are important from the student perspective. So THE has conducted an online survey focusing on students who choose Asia as the top destination for study. And this survey is undertaken in March to April 2022. We have collected 3,151 responses from students in 93 countries, and 289 students who chose Asia as the top destination. And we asked them the importance of being a sustainable citizen, and 77 says it is important for them to live their lives in a sustainable way, and that is consistent with being a sustainable citizen. And we can see from these news articles that the Generation Z people are taking climate action very seriously, and it is really a concern for them. And the next question we asked them, the awareness of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. How much do they know about it? And 72 people are aware of SDGs, and we can see the global data is 71. Actually, our Asian students are outperforming the global stats. And then we asked them, what are the highest priorities SDGs for students? And the top one is SDG 4, quality education. And the second one is SDG 13, climate action. And the third one is zero hunger. I think it's quite understandable. Is students, they are going to universities, of course, they expect quality education. And also the climate and the environment is crucial for us to live as long as possible. And the zero hunger ensures that we will have food to eat. And then in the next question, we ask them the main factors they use to assess the university's reputation for sustainability. And the students responded that 45 of them says the policies and the practices at the universities are important, and also quality of impact of the sustainable related research, and the students' opportunities to participate in activities that promote sustainability. And we can see that they also care the position in sustainability-related rankings. Here we ask them the actions the students have taken to assess the university's sustainability credentials. And then 65 of them, they say they look at the Times Higher Education impact rankings. But there is also confirmation biases because the students coming to our website, they should be looking for rankings. And the second is they assess the university's commitment to diversity and inclusion. Well, so now there are so many concerns, but is the students' voice being heard? What do students actually want from the governments, the private companies, the universities, and what are their priorities? What elements of climate action are the most committed to? Actually, the students feel that 86% of these groups have an important role to play in achieving SDGs. But just 9% of the students feel confident that the world could secure global net zero by 2050. And just now in my previous slides, I mentioned that SDG 13 is the second most concerned SDG that students care about. And then so THE collaborated with the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, to find out what the students' priorities are with regards to climate action. And then our aim is to put together a list of priorities for universities as a call to action for climate change. And what we did is we conducted a focus group surveys with the 13 students about their feelings about the climate change, views on the role of universities regarding climate change, and their priorities regarding the actions from the universities. And we also conducted a survey with 1,028 students and prospective students and asked them to prioritize the list of actions and commitment during the focus groups and the creation of a manifesto for change. Then how can universities change the current status quo? So I outlined the 10 priorities that the students have chosen as the most important in more detail. So the first one is think globally and act locally. Universities must think globally and not just locally, as it is a global challenge requiring global solutions, but they must also do it while acting locally, as many solutions start at home. And the second is the university should to act as beacons of change. Universities must influence the organizations around them, harness the existing partnerships, and forge new ones that promote positive change. And the university should also harness the power of the student community. Actually, students, they are very keen to be involved in the activities concerning the SDGs. University should also offer assistance to local communities to enable them to understand the energy efficiency and help them to generate energy sustainably. And there is no time to waste. University must ensure that their research addresses the immediate consequences of climate change in their locality, including the drought and the flooding. And universities must provide adequate resources to enable students to recycle and enable them to live life on campus in a sustainable way. Yes, to be short, is to build green campus. And the university should also install the solar panels on the campus and incorporate green spaces in innovative ways. And university must commit to use no single-use plastic by 2030 and ensure that waste plastic is reused and recycled properly. And the ninth one is a university should commit substantial proportions of research budgets to researching clean and energy sources. And the 10th one is university should encourage research funding bodies to invest more heavily in the research to find solutions to climate change related problems. With the 10 priorities that we just identified, we developed a manifesto for change. So you can see there are 10 slogans, so easy to remember. We are calling the universities to be the beacon of change, to take immediate action, to create green universities, and to conduct transformative research. And we hope that this inspires universities and the whole higher education sector to take action. And I hope more and more universities will join those that are already ranked in our impact rankings to work towards the sustainable development goals and to make the world a better place. With that, I would like to conclude my presentation and open the floor for questions.
I think Dr. Marisha had a question for us.
Sure.
Thank you, Sophie. That was lovely, just to hear all of the amazing depth to which the Times Higher Education is engaging with the SDGs. It's clear that we can do better, that universities can do better. I wonder if there are any projects that you run within Times Higher Education where students can become actively engaged with projects that can help. You're probably thinking it from a rankings perspective. I'm just merely thinking it from a community engagement perspective. Is there any sort of project that they can become involved with other students from other universities to collectively do projects together to enable enact change? You know, when I was thinking about the map of Thailand, and I was thinking, you know, it is truly a national thing going on. And so obviously universities have networks. So do they have like almost like student clubs that connect with each other to make positive change and projects for positive change?
So from THS, you say that we are many ranking agencies, so we don't have much resources to organize student-centric events on the SDGs. But what we have noticed that the global university networks, for example, the APRU, the Asian Pacific Rim Universities, they have focused focused activities. For example, they currently in China, there are many universities that are organizing SDG summer camps to invite the actually even Vietnamese students, they can participate. I think there is a chargeable for a small nominal fee. Yeah, so it is more organized by the university itself and also university networks, yeah, and maybe non-profit organizations.
Thank you. I was just going to ask a follow-up question. Given that, FPT is a very large corporation and Swinburne University of Technology, we have the partnership here. From your perspective, what could we do better, in Swinburne, Vietnam, because we're a partnership between two different universities, so obviously we can't be ranked. But what can we do better as a partnership in order to assist and support what the students of the future want? I mean, understanding, of course, that SUT have its own rankings and FPT have its own rankings as well, but partnerships are also huge. Transnational education partnerships are a huge part in Southeast Asia and particularly in Vietnam. What can partnerships do to really start to enact that change?
As I know that Swinburne, Vietnam is a joint venture between the Swinburne University of Technology and the FPT University, right? As you said, well, maybe it is not able to be ranked by itself, but as you said, SDG 17 is called partnership is concerns about the partnerships. So I think Swinburne, Vietnam can be this link because we assess the university's partnership with the local, national, and international organizations in the SDGs. So, for example, event like this, if you are talking about SDGs, it can be used as evidence to show that you are working towards this SDGs, and I think FPT and also SWT can use it as a evidence. Yeah, I think Swinburne Vietnam can become the linkage between these two universities and help them to achieve better in the impact rankings.
Thank you, Sophie. Just feedback from one of my fellow colleagues, Bonnie. She said that your presentation is her favourite today. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
So thank you very much. Is there anybody else in the auditorium who would like to ask a question? Dr. Ha? There you go. There you go.
I think the impact is very interesting, and FPT already ranked according to the impact, and the rank just mentioned here is 800 and 1,000, right? And however, it's very much focused on the sustainable development, right? So the agenda we are talking today is about global citizen with some skill, right? Skill, and that skill is not only about the social awareness, about but also connective thinking or something like that.
Yeah, it's just part of it.
Yeah, so do you think that the impact ranking going to have some criteria to cover the global citizen education or something like that?
Yeah, just because in our ranking, just now I introduced, we have 3 categories of rankings. One is world university rankings, this research ranking, and also have impact rankings. Is a major social impact. We also have the teaching ranking because what you are talking about is education. So we have this kind of education ranking, but it is currently we only conducted in US and Japan. Yeah, but of course we can think about to have one for Vietnam to work with maybe MOED, to develop some kind of Vietnam-only rankings, national rankings.
We have another question as well. I'll just pass you over here.
Yeah, thank you so much for the very insightful sharing. Actually, it's the first time for me to listen to a presentation about QS, about ranking in higher education. Even that we know that based a lot on publication and some other criteria. You are here. So anyway, before this, we also have opportunity to meet one group for, they came for evaluating about AAC-SP. And so I am thinking, just curious, for this kind of evaluation, normally university submits the evidence, right? But the committee, the evaluation committee will evaluate based on the documentary evidence. Is there a committee coming to our institution and evaluate? And the second thing is the criteria. Yeah, can you? This is mostly based. Alignment. They must be linked to 17 SDG. Is this the only one, or is there any other kind of criteria or benchmark that we can base on for evaluating, for ranking?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for your question. So university can choose at least one SDG they are good at. For example, you can choose the SDG 4 for quality education. Quality education, so it measures how universities are working towards providing education to the first generation of students, university students, graduates, and also produce the primary school teachers and also the methods of providing lifelong learning. So I think a lot of universities are doing that. So that's why a lot of universities actually participate in SDG 4. So what I advise, you can read our methodology so that you can choose the right SDGs that you are good at and participate. So what is the threshold for this ranking is that you need to be a government accredited university. You cannot be a random university, say I want to participate and next year you already disappear, something like that. This is our requirement. And just now you asked about how we collect the evidence. So we don't send experts to universities, but the university need to submit the evidence. We prefer it to be online, so that you have a website link. You just put there, and we will check. So the reason why we want it to be a website link is that we want it to be public, and the university should be responsible for the evidence you submitted, because anyone can pick it and say that it's fake. So we are not supervising, you and monitoring you, or whether you make a false statements. But I think the public are doing that. Okay, any more questions? Okay, so thank you very much for inviting me to Hanoi. It's always, a good experience to meet with my friends in Vietnam and also enjoy the pho. Thank you so much.